Accounting and TikTok? Gone are the days of the stereotypical man in a drab grey suit with a calculator. Today, young accountants are paving the way for a new generation of accountants who are in touch with tech and are sharing the gift of financial literacy not only with their clients, but with the wider world by creating educational content. Today, we are joined by Grace Hardy, an enthusiastic accountant who has successfully managed and expanded her own business. Grace is a strong advocate for apprenticeships and is committed to promoting financial literacy amongst young people. She also actively shares her financial expertise and personal journey through engaging content on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where she has cultivated a growing online community. We'll be diving into how she uses social media to spread her knowledge and make accounting cool, as well as how she taps into tech more generally to provide insights and support to the small businesses she serves. Let's dive right in. A big welcome, Grace Hardy. Thank you so much for joining us today. I must say, Grace, I was a bit starstruck. I had a peek at your TikTok page earlier today. One of your videos that I saw nearly reached 1 million or certainly 900,000 views, and that's really epic. So I certainly feel quite starstruck being in your presence today, virtual presence at least. Why didn't you kick us off by telling us a bit about yourself?
No problem. So, my name is Grace Hardy, and I completed an accounting apprenticeship straight after school at 18. Through that, I completed my AAT qualifications. I left that company at 21 to start up my own accounting firm, Hardy Accounting, which is what I run now. So I run that alongside operating financial education workshops. I work closely with the government to lobby for financial literacy for young people as well. And I also run my own podcast, the Unconventional Podcast.
That's incredibly brave of you to have started your own practice or business, certainly at the age of 21. Interested to hear a bit more about what inspired you to get into accounting specifically.
So for me, actually, it was a happy accident. So I studied economics, politics, and history at A level, and I knew I didn't want to go to university because for me, I've really struggled with dyslexia. I was diagnosed in primary school, and it meant that school potentially wasn't one of the most enjoyable experiences for me. And so university felt like an extension of school. And so I didn't want to go. So I said to my mum, I don't want to go to university. And she said, that's absolutely fine. However, you do need a further qualification.
Yeah.
And at the time, she was a training provider for NHS healthcare apprenticeships. So she brought apprenticeships up, and I didn't know anything about them. So we went to lots of careers fairs to learn more and speak to employers. And I had applied for an economics degree apprenticeship, made it all the way to the assessment centre, but unfortunately didn't get chosen. So I went back to the drawing board and very naively at 17 thought, what's close to economics? Tax. So I started applying for loads of tax apprenticeships, but it was very late in the year. It was around May to start in the September. So they're getting filled, but employers have turned around and said, hey, there's not any spaces, but we really love your application. Would you mind transferring to an accounting apprenticeship? I promise that there's tax in it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, anything at this point. So got a couple of apprenticeship offers and then picked the firm that I went with.
Amazing. It's weird how life works out, right? Talking about
Yeah.
happy accidents and landing in accounting. That's quite an incredible story, and I'm sure very inspiring to a lot of other viewers and listeners today who have been diagnosed with dyslexia and struggle with dyslexia on a daily basis. So that's really inspiring. Thanks for sharing that with us. Just talking about your accounting practice specifically and your choice to market, I suppose it's on social media platforms like TikTok. What was the inspiration behind using TikTok as a platform to market your accounting practice?
So I started with normal in-person networking events when I first started my practice, but I felt that I was just trying to be sold things that I didn't want, and my ideal client wasn't in the room. So I was finding it quite frustrating because I wasn't picking up any clients, but I was spending so much time and money going to these networking events. So I thought, right, I've seen loads of other businesses market on social media. Surely I can do the same. So that's when I started posting content on TikTok and Instagram. And the content at the beginning was terrible, terrible content. But I'm a big believer in that you can't make anything perfect and you have to start somewhere. So I
Yeah.
look back at those videos and I cringe now and they're horrible. And if they ever resurface, I'll probably throw up in my mouth. However, it's important to start somewhere. And so
Yeah.
from there, I started creating video content around like demystifying accounting and tax for young business owners and started to gain traction and clients through there.
Amazing. It's got to be a tough topic to post engaging content about, right? So, as you say, from 0 to 1, you got to start somewhere and be terrible at first. And yeah, sure, it's cringeworthy at the beginning, but once you've kind of made the niche in social media, it's a lot easier from there, I'm sure. But really, really interesting that you use TikTok specifically. Would you say, with regards to the clients that you've got in your base at the moment, that they've found you typically through social media platforms and platforms like TikTok, or was this something that just organically happened?
No, I think probably 90% of my clients have found me through TikTok, because that's the feedback we get. We always, when we onboard clients, we make them fill out a form with all their information, and we always ask, where did you find us? And the majority either say Instagram or TikTok.
That's pretty amazing. So it's a testament to the power of social media, I suppose. On the topic of tech, and of course, AI being such a buzzword in the industry at the moment, how would you say you integrate AI into your practice, and what other cool software or tools are you using to help streamline processes within your organization?
So at the beginning, when we started our practice, we were using AI mostly for marketing. So creating scripts, writing content, generating ideas. That's what we used it for in the beginning. But obviously, I feel in the last 6 months, a lot of softwares, like yourself, have really taken on AI and integrated it into softwares already. Because using AI in accounting is incredible, but we also have to have a AI policy because we don't want to put client data just out for everyone to see. So we don't use ChatGPT with client data or anything like that. So it was how can we use AI in a way where client data is safe and adheres to our internal AI policy. So we've been using SIFT for a lot of monthly and quarterly reporting, and the AI integrated into that is incredibly helpful. We've also been using it in our onboarding flow as well. And we also use AI integrated into Notion, where we keep a lot of our standard operating procedures and workflows and client hub and things like that.
Incredible. What other tools would you say you utilize practice-wide to help streamline uh, mundane processes and build efficiencies in your practice?
So for us, a really big one is Engager. We use it for client management, and for us, it's perfect. So we've integrated our SOPs there. We have all of our onboarding flow. So everything from proposal to letter of engagement and AML all sits on Engager. Again, it has client management on there, so we can delegate work to our staff on there too. Automatic emails go out to clients on there as well. So it's been a real game changer in streamlining our processes.
It almost feels like there's a new app or tool on the market every week, all claiming to do the same thing, but which one is better? So it can be a bit daunting and overwhelming sometimes to invest a lot of time into a piece of software, learn the tool, cascade that info down to the rest of the team and ensure that it's embedded in your processes on a daily basis. At what stage or to what extent would you say the human touch becomes indispensable in your practice?
I think we've always had that human touch from the start. I made the firm with the idea that we would be there for clients at any point. So we've always had regular catch-ups with clients. I have a work phone purely to answer client WhatsApp messages. So we've always had that personal touch from the beginning. And with the introduction of more widely used AI, that human touch is more important than ever because we're now using more advisory services than day to day because a lot of AI can do that and speed up the process. But actually, how do we use AI to help future-proof clients forecast their data and help them with future plans rather than just revisiting what's already happened?
Hmm. Grace, if you had a crystal ball and you had to predict within the next 5 years or 5 years, how do you envisage the role of accountants like yourself changing?
So I think I've already touched on it briefly, but really stepping away from that day-to-day processing of information and becoming more strategic partner with businesses. So how can we take the data that's already been done and use that to our advantage, see any pitfalls that may be coming our way, crossing any challenges we come to, but really being more of that strategic partner, more advisory services for sure.
Absolutely. It's definitely a trend we're noticing at SIFT as well. Talking about your clients specifically and small business owners and how your practice serves them, what is the most typical or common financial mistake you see your clients making?
I don't think, to be honest, I could pick one. I think that the lack of financial education in the UK, especially in schools, is such a massive problem. And then that translates into real life. So whether you are employed and you don't understand how to read a payslip, or you've become self-employed and you don't understand the different tax brackets from sole trader to limited company, I think there's so many gaps in our knowledge that stem from that lack of financial education in schools that we find a lot of clients don't understand what constitutes a business expense or what's the correct business structure for them, what a dividend is, again, purely because of that lack of financial education at a young age.
Mhm. Would it be fair to say that this almost dissuades a lot of potential would-be entrepreneurs from starting their businesses?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of financial anxiety and stress that comes with running a business. And if you don't have a financial background, it's very scary to understand, okay, what are my startup costs going to be? What are my running costs going to be? What's a good profit margin to have? How do I extract money from the business? We see a lot of business owners just having a limited company and just taking out money as and when they'd like, not realizing that there are repercussions to doing that.
Absolutely. One piece of advice for an entrepreneur or small business owner that's in the thick of it, and we know that these small business owners and entrepreneurs are generally jack of all trades. But what's one piece of advice that you would offer them if they really have no idea where to start?
I would always just say reach out and ask for help. I've done it so many times with other areas of my business because, yes, the finances are okay. But for me, actually, all the other areas of the business I have struggled with in the past because you start a business because you love one specific thing, not because you love everything that comes with running a business. So if they're in the thick of it and they've got anxiety or stress or don't know where to turn, then actually just ask for help from somebody who is a qualified professional who can maybe give you 15 minutes of their time and can help you decide where to go from there.
Yeah, steer you along the right paths, I suppose.
100%.
I suppose not particularly relevant to you because I would imagine that a lot of your clients are quite tech savvy. But what's one perhaps piece of advice that you could offer any small business owner or client of yours who isn't tech savvy and reluctant or resistant to accept, using new tools and new processes because of the fact that, there's that change aversion?
I think even internally, sometimes we have clients that don't understand systems and processes, so don't understand how to use them. But for us, we found that if we really take the time to train them and teach them about the software, then they're happier to use it. People struggle getting their heads around new things. So when we've brought in new receipt capture software, for example, we make sure to take the time to sit down with the client so that they can understand how to use it to the best potential. But
Hmm.
also, we really explain the value in it so that they know by using this, it's going to make their lives easier and potentially save them money later down the line.
Absolutely. For your clients that are mainly focused on compliance, 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 and making sure that there's, tax submissions that are submitted on a timeous basis, what would you say to them in terms of moving beyond that and having a closer look at the data and focusing more on that?
I think it's all about having that conversation about what are their goals, where do they want to be. And I
Mm.
think by having that conversation, it means you can use other reporting methods to help them get there and understand their goals. because it's great analyzing the data that's already happened. But as I said, if you want to use AI to forecast the future, maybe a cash flow or set budgets, then that's really important because then you can set goals with the clients and implement them into the budgets.
Absolutely good advice there. Just chatting a bit more about your beg your pardon, unconventional background and how you started in the industry. You started with an apprenticeship as opposed to going to university. How did that route prepare you for where you are now? And yeah, maybe just talk a bit more about how that's prepared you for the fast-paced world of accounting.
Yeah, 100%. So when I started my apprenticeship, I was 18 years old and I basically got chucked in the deep end and was client facing from month one. So through my apprenticeship, and I've said this before, it's taught me absolutely invaluable lessons that I really strongly don't believe I would have been taught if I had gone to university. So you're learning how to deal with difficult client conversations on a regular basis, but also how to communicate with clients in a language that they understand. In accounting, there's a lot of jargons and acronyms that the average person doesn't know. So if I was to say AML to someone, they probably doesn't don't know that means anti-money laundering. And so by having a lot of that face-to-face contact with a client, you can really understand how to speak in a language they understand, and then you can use that to translate into my business now. The other thing is obviously working as a team, learning how to delegate, how to work under pressure and work to deadlines. So the whole apprenticeship was completely invaluable and it taught me so many lessons and had that theoretical and practical knowledge.
Yeah.
So from the age of 19, I was training graduates out of university.
Wow.
And I found that there was such a gap in knowledge because they would come with all the theoretical knowledge and they had a degree, and that was amazing. But you'd give them a working paper and they wouldn't know where to start
Mhm.
because you realize that theory and practice are such completely polar opposites. But what the apprenticeship did is obviously let me learn that theoretical knowledge through my qualifications. But actually, I was in an office 5 days a week, 9 to 5, working with real life clients. So I was able to learn both at the same time. And
Yeah.
then obviously that set me up perfectly to run my own practice.
It's an incredible story. And I suppose my next question would have been, what do you think you've missed out from the more traditional approach? But it sounds like, you got the best of both worlds doing the apprenticeship first, right?
Of course. And there's a lot of conversation around, do you have a life when you do an apprenticeship? Because obviously you're working 5 days a week and then you use the weekends to study because you've got to sit exams and have a qualification. But there is a real work-life balance. Obviously, when your exam is a week away, there's not so much work-life balance.
Mm.
But for me, I was able to go up to universities where my friends were on the weekends and spend time with them and live the uni life, but I was being paid, so I wasn't a broke student, which was quite nice. So I got to have both, and I honestly wouldn't have changed any of it.
It sounds like a lovely experience. The next segment is on rapid fire questions. So the first question that I have to ask you, Grace, not zero, not Sift. What is one piece of software that you can't live without?
Engager.
And personally, TikTok, right?
Personally, TikTok. I love TikTok so much.
Epic. What's the best podcast that you've listened to recently?
So there was an amazing podcast, Jay Shetty's podcast with Emma
Mm.
Watson, that I listened to recently on a car journey from London to Manchester. And that was incredibly insightful and very thought-provoking. And I've been sending it to everyone.
I think yeah, listened to that one before. It's so powerful, so candid.
Yeah, 100%. It was magical. And I love the sound of her voice. She should really
Yeah,
be doing audiobooks.
100%. So cathartic, right?
Yeah.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned about starting and building a business?
I think there's never no right time. I think a lot of people wait that they know when they'll start a business because there'll be this perfect time and the stars will align. But actually, starting is the hardest part. And there's no perfect time to start, so you just need to get going. And the other really good, kind of harsh but good piece of advice that I've received is probably stay in your own lane. I think there's a lot of outside noise and telling, like other people telling you should be doing things in a specific way. But actually, just stay in your own lane, do things in your way, and you'll be flying.
That's really good advice, Grace. What's one piece that you would like listeners and viewers to take away with them today?
I think it's that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. I think there's so much opportunity, especially in the landscape that we're in right now with MTD coming and so many other changes, that it's such an interesting time to start a practice, but such a great time as well. There's so many new softwares every single week making your lives easier. And I think it's just a really exciting time to be an accountant.
Exciting indeed. Thank you so much for joining us today, Grace. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Any closing thoughts or remarks you would like to make?
No, just I think have confidence within yourself, whether you're wanting to start a practice or have a practice. And community is really important. So building a community of accountants and trusted vendors around you is really important in your journey. So you have people to turn to if things are not going right or you just need a piece of advice.
Brilliant advice. It's all about community in the end, right?
Yeah.
Grace Hardy, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, Grace, and have a good day further.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast. Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now. And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast. That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.